All right, everybody, welcome to Process 34, the podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. Very well-known and well-respected chiropractor within the community. Just a all-around good person. Actually, just now became certified instructor for yoga too, right?
Yeah, actually, I did that years ago, but I redid teacher training.
Nice.
So we'll see where that goes. But
the owner of the Peabody Center for Wellbeing. Without further ado, Dr. Erica Peabody, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the invite. I mean, I'm not sure where this conversation is going, but I'm here for it.
I never know where any of them are going, so it's
perfect.
Like, I have a couple questions here, a couple points, and then the rest is like, hopefully, this conversation picks up and goes somewhere.
Perfect.
Today is actually tomorrow is the 18-year birthday anniversary of your practice, which is awesome. I didn't even know that and walked right into it. So cool. Balloons everywhere. Cookies, lots of people, food, discounts, great things.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, it's even funnier this week because I'm like, oh yeah, this weekend we're celebrating 18 years, and so many people have said, you are not old enough.
Right.
I'm like, well, thank you. That means I take care of my body well enough that I'm hopefully aging gracefully. But yeah, 18 years ago, March 12th, 2005.
Nice.
And so many iterations of the practice. And when I look back, I'm astounded. Yeah. I really am. It makes me worry about how fast life goes too. Like, it's wonderful. And then it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Also, so
slow down and embrace it a little bit.
Yeah. And I do, but then it just still slips by.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you started, where did this practice originally start?
So first of all, my heart lives in the mountains, and Fenton, we know, doesn't have any mountains. Right. So my plan was always to move out west after school was done. And then I just found myself in a life circumstance, and I was like, you know what? Let me just move back home. I grew up here in Fenton. I'm a Fenton High School grad, and I have a lot of family and extended family that are around the area. So I'm like, let me just go home and see. So my biggest requirement for my first office space was a 1-year lease.
Okay.
And normal commercial spaces, you don't, like, 1-year leases are hard to come by. So that was my highest priority because I'm like, what am I doing back here?
Right.
So I started, it took me 3 months after school to open the practice, and I was over on the north side of town. If anyone's local to Fenton that's listening, I was in the old courthouse building back in the day. So kind of on the North Leroy group of buildings up there. And so I was there, and then I just opened my doors and just found a lot of success within the first 6 months.
Nice.
And then in 2010, I was going to move out west because the mountains call. And then I got a niece. Yeah. And now I have many and nephews and families here. And for me, when I lived all over the country for school, I would always have to, when I traveled, travel home. But now, because I live here and I get to see everybody all the time, when I do travel, I can go more exciting places than just coming back to Fenton from another place. So I have all my best friends live out west in Denver, and I spend a lot of time out there every year, but my heart really is in Fenton, and mostly because my family's here. And so I just kept moving one step in front of the other, one day at a time, and built this pretty awesome thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And the name of your practice is Cafe of Life,
yes,
correct? And has that always been Cafe of Life?
It has.
Okay.
So, and I'll talk a little bit about where that comes from, because people are like, Cafe of Life. And then my mom, when I was first talking about the name of it, she's like, well, if the laundry here in town can be a restaurant, then a cafe can be a chiropractic office. It. So we kind of hit off that a little bit. But the Cafe of Life is a known chiropractic concept around the globe. So there's a few hundred of our offices around. It's not really a franchise, but what happened was one of my mentors had started an office in Yardley, Pennsylvania back in the 80s. They had a landline in the hallway. So people would come in and get adjusted, call home, say, hey, I'm stopping by the grocery store, blah, 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 running errands for their family. And, but hey, I'm at Arno's. And my mentor, Dr. Arno Brunier, said, Arno's sounds like Gino's, which sounds like a pizza place.
Right.
So then the concept of it being a cafe where we serve life and we make reservations and people are people, not necessarily patients. And we do assessments rather than exams. And we also are very much tailored the offices around our personal feel and kind of our personal brand and feeling in each one of the offices around the globe. And so people know when you come to a Cafe of Life chiropractic office, what kind of doctor you're getting, which is somebody who's done a lot of heal the healer kind of stuff, like really dug into who they are as a person, because who I am as a person precedes who I am as a chiropractor and who I am as a doctor that shows up every day. So it became this Cafe of Life where we serve life. And then a bunch of us opened them all over the globe.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm still connected with some of the greatest. I just have friends everywhere because of my profession.
Good.
So yeah.
And we're actually recording in Cafe of Life right now.
Yes.
Such a cool practice, which we'll get into all that here shortly. I just wanted to touch base on your background as a chiropractor. How did you discover that you wanted to be a chiropractor?
These are great questions because I have some interesting stories surrounding it. So I have been adjusted since I was little. So we would always go to the chiropractor once a month. Growing up, I have 3 brothers. And when my mom was having babies, her favorite sister, she comes from a family of 10, her favorite sister was going through chiropractic college. So her sister was my Aunt Gail, was learning all about chiropractic and health and wellness at the same time my mom was having babies. So my mom sought out chiropractic care for me and my brothers for our entire life.
Okay.
My Aunt Gail's married to a chiropractor, and there's another chiropractor here in town. And so chiropractic was just part of my life. And then, so I knew I wanted to help people, and I knew that I wanted to be in the healthcare industry of some sort, but I also don't do really well with like bodily fluids and blood and just things like that. And so I started at Michigan State. I entered undeclared, and just knowing I was going to pursue something health-wise. And my second semester, it was February of 1996 at 2:00 in the morning, I woke up and I said, I'm going to be a chiropractor. And I called my mom the next day. I'm like, Mom, why, when we're searching out professions where I'm going to go for school and what I'm going to do with my life, why did you never suggest chiropractic? And for her answer to that was, she thought, she's a nurse, so she thought that I wanted to just get in, get through school, get out, have a family, do that as fast as possible. And chiropractic college is a lot of school. You know, it's a bachelor's and then a doctorate. And so anyway, it's so nice. So February 1996 to now we're in March of 2023. It's so awesome to have chosen something back then that fits me even better as the years go by.
That's
miraculous.
Into it. Yeah,
it's pretty miraculous to say. I'm really thrilled to be not only 18 years in, but have a healthy, thriving practice that I love to come to every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
good.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that story. So that kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask, was it always on the radar? Did you just discover it? Which you answered. And,
I do have to say one more thing about this is when I went to school, when I first started chiropractic college, there was a lot of those stories where chiropractic chose the person. So whether that be an injury along the way that landed people in a chiropractic office, some miracle that they had experienced themselves personally or whatever, but it's so much like somehow I ended up here, divinely driven, who knows, but chosen from the chiropractic chose the person rather than really the other way around. So
good. It suits you well.
Yeah.
What are the overall benefits of chiropractic care?
Oh my goodness. Such a good question. So One of the analogies we like to use is that obviously people know chiropractic care for neck pain, low back pain, headaches, those kinds of things. But using chiropractic for only those things is like using your iPhone for text message only.
Right.
So the body is controlled and coordinated. Everything in the body is controlled and coordinated, obviously, by the brain. The brain sends messages through the spinal cord and out into all the limbs, all the muscles, tissues, organs, and glands. So the regulation of the nervous system allows the body to do its job better, naturally decreasing pain, but also increasing, whether it be immune function and getting through cold and flu season faster, ridding of allergies. People have gotten pregnant under chiropractic care. Lots of different things. I also see infants and children and everybody in between. One of the things, though, is that chiropractic doesn't cure any of that stuff. It just aligns the body. When we're aligned, our body just works better with a good nerve supply.
Right.
So that's really what we boil it down to. And I do understand that people are very concerned about pain, but pain just says pay attention.
Yeah.
And pain signals are usually start at a whisper, and then they get louder, and they get louder, and they get louder. And we can go and get medication to take care of pain symptoms or all those kinds of things. But your pain is pay attention, which is like the check engine light in your car goes on. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't take a piece of electrical tape and stick it over that. You just wouldn't.
Right.
And so, we use chiropractic care to help people get through like corrective phase and get going, but then they choose some sort of regular care of the spine and nervous system, much like you take care of your teeth after you go get them cleaned, right? So that, whether that be once a week, some people have stayed with me twice a week for over a decade. But some people come at 3 weeks is when the body starts to build scar tissue. So science shows when you have the fixation start to form, fibers start to form at 3 weeks.
Wow.
So if we stay ahead of that, we're not fixing anything, but we can stay ahead of that. And then it's more like a Control-Alt-Delete for your computer, like that, where you just like Control-Alt-Delete, go back out into life. Control-Alt-Delete, go back out into life, because the things that get those stresses in the spine in the first place, they're still there when you leave here. We don't get to bubble wrap you and send you out into your life. You still have the same job, the same family, the same stresses that bombard the system that the body can't manage. And then it just gets stored in the tissues, and we help move that potential stored energy back into a kinetic flowing energy.
That is a crazy stat, 3 weeks. Wow, that is...
3 weeks, yeah.
That's wild.
So we always say once a month or just under once a month is a great way for the adult human to manage. But we were always taken in once a month as children, just because you're growing, developing.
Yeah.
I mean, the average child falls 3,000 times by the age of 2. Like, that matters.
That is wild,
that
too.
matters.
Wow.
Yes.
All the stats.
Yes, that matters.
What has been the most rewarding part of being a chiropractor?
Such a good question, too. The whole thing is rewarding. One of the greatest parts about it is that we become people's favorite part of their week.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to be a healthcare provider and a doctor, but not be the doctor that everyone dreads, the kids as well. But I really love, the thing I love the most is watching families grow. So helping a mom work with pregnancy and what the pregnancy, the body does with that, and the spine and all the stresses on the spine. But then helping them through that process, and then helping these children grow and develop, and just tending to them, being part of their family. So we always like to find what makes people tick and help them do that better. Uh-huh.
Nice. Well, I like that, because I actually came to you as a person in pain, and one of the things that I noticed right off the get-go and that I loved so much about you was just how personable and you just seem and feel like you care, and that's, you know what I mean? It's just and that is not always, as sad as it sounds, it's not very common,
right?
Especially today. So, just, you could see it. You could see that you wanted to connect with each person individually, and you could feel that. And it's just been, I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that's what brought me back. And I'm sure that's probably what brings a lot of other people back as well.
It is. And a patient came in one time, and so she said, hey, will you go check out this other office? I'm going to take, not another chiropractic office, but a healthcare office. And on their website, something about like, they had to write on their website, like, we listen, we care, we, we'll listen to your needs, we'll treat you like a human. And it's like, shouldn't that be by default?
Right.
Shouldn't that be by default? Like, what are we doing out here in our offices if that's not our default? Like, that's my default.
Right.
And I probably care a little too much. And I'm exposed to a lot of different scenarios all day long, whether it be new babies or, traumatic experience of moms delivering or deaths of people in the family, pets passing away, car accident. It's just like, it's the whole gamut. And it's kind of like controlled chaos. So my staff controls the patient flow, but my job is to meet whoever it is where they are that day.
Right.
And especially through the last few years, we've been in major crisis, and there's been major, major crisis for a lot of people in the practice. And so I just have to keep myself in a way that I don't want to brush off any of this stuff. Like, all of it matters, because if we can't integrate the stresses that are in our lives, which is emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, then it gets stored. And so I want to know what these people have been through. And so I do listen, but it really should be our default, and it's not. And when I was reading this website, I'm like, okay, glad what?
Right. Yeah.
It's our world, though, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's almost like a disclaimer,
Yeah.
It's like they have to put that on there.
We're going to actually listen to you.
Right. Like, should this be viewed as a warning or a welcoming sign? So, yeah. That is strange.
It's a strange world, but I'm grateful to be a helper in it.
Absolutely.
In whatever way I can.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you walk, every time I see you, you have a smile on your face. You're just always seem to be filled with joy and happiness. Where does that come from? Has it been with you forever? Is it something you steadily have to work at?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. So first of all, what I'm noticing is that I'm hearing the repeat in my dad's language is coming through me to my nieces and nephews, which sounds a little bit like put a smile on your face when we were growing up, right? So it's interesting. That's only been over the last couple of months I've been saying that, because now they're teenagers, so I'm like, put a smile on your face. But I think I was born smiling.
Yeah.
That's always been a thing for me. And I've been through enough turmoil. I haven't always been this way. And a lot of people will reach out behind the scenes and say, thank you for all your positivity in this world. And how do you do that? And I don't. I have to go through the turmoil too, just like everybody else. And it's a gift just to be on the top side of the grass.
Right.
Every morning.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so then I do things that support me personally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, in order to show up in a way that I can still be a helper that day.
Yeah.
I've been, and those that know, over the last few years, like, I've been through ridiculous amounts of just heartbreak and all that. And it's not easy. And it's not always, but I just know that if I pass somebody and I smile to them, I'm not losing anything. Like, I don't have a certain amount of smiles in a day. So
right.
I kind of work off that principle, which is like, it's going to be reflected back. And then I just do a lot of things to support myself behind the scenes. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, which is vital. And that's like, it's so hard to constantly be happy. It's impossible. So, but I think, the way I look at it is negativity is so selfish and so isolating. And when you just crack a smile, when you let somebody in, when you take that phone call, whatever, those small things build into that spirit. And, you want to see change now, and you see the other side. So, but it's a constant everyday, routine that you have to follow, or principles that you have to follow.
Yeah, just like your process 34 that was created, it's like we have to recognize as humans that this isn't all shiny.
Yeah.
This isn't all shiny. It's not rainbows and butterflies all the time. But if we can start to process some of the stuff both good and bad, then we can kind of, instead of swinging on the pendulum, we can just kind of like level ourselves out if there's a way to process that on a regular basis. So I have a coaching call that I do every Wednesday with a group. And then, yoga is one of my just vital for living.
Yeah.
The yoga that I participate, I'm a 25-year yogi, and I really seek out the joy. And this year, so I've had a lot on my plate, but this year in January, my goal for 2023 is to boundary my own joy, which means working a tiny bit less, giving a tiny bit less, and boundarying. And Tuesday in particular is what I'm talking about, because I used to come in and work Tuesday afternoon. Well, Tuesdays at 3:00, I had to come in, but I could never get started on anything on Tuesday.
Right.
And whatever I was starting on, reading, writing, working, blogging, all the stuff that I love that feeds my soul, I would have to stop right in the middle and come in. So I'm like, you know what? Let me give Tuesday back to myself. Let me boundary a little bit more and use Tuesday in creativity and boundary my joy.
Yeah.
So that I'm not feeling so depleted by Thursday.
Right.
Because I am walking into literally organized chaos in the most beautiful human way possible. But it's a lot.
Yeah. And it takes away from your,
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, you're also the owner of the Peabody Center for Wellbeing, which Cafe of Life is located within.
Yes.
Which is also referred to as Big Blue.
Yes.
Right on the corner of Shiawassee and what is the
Adelaide.
Yeah. Yep. So could you please tell us a little bit about the Center for Wellbeing?
Yeah. So even before I was a chiropractor, I had this recurring dream at nighttime dreaming. And I created this center like Patch Adams had. And it was so big that I moved my family into the back of it. And it was a pink Victorian. Nice. But it was so recurring that I could literally draw it out. So that went on for years before I was a chiropractor. But then since then, too, it was always this whole concept of this huge wellness center that people would, fly into.
So this has been like for the majority of your life, you've been dreaming this.
I'm astounded when I look back, because this didn't really even dawn on me that I real-lifed this dream.
That's crazy.
Until like 2 years ago,
right,
where I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So, I had the opportunity. So I've been investing in real estate behind the scenes, quietly, residential. And then I also owned my other building before I moved here, and I still have that as a commercial rental space. So I've been building my rental or my real estate investments behind the scenes. And then, so I'm always looking on Zillow. I'm always curious about things that are for sale. And this building came up for sale. And so I screenshot it and sent it to my realtor and said, what's up with this? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I don't know, but let's just go look. And it was assisted living since the 60s, and it was a private residence prior to that. So it's 10,000 square feet, 17 office spaces, which were bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, commercial kitchen in the back. And then the third story was originally in the, when it was residential, it was the ballroom. So that's on the third story. And so I started to explore the purchasing. And the assisted living place that was here before, they were trying to sell the business and the building. And I just wanted the building. And so they moved on, and I moved in. And I just got, it was a really great investment. And then after a year of being here with just my practice inside of it, I started to renovate other parts and kind of shine up other parts of the building and start to rent space. But because of the way that I purchased it, I've been able to fill it deliberately, not desperately. Yeah. And so we have now filled the building. Actually, I have currently one office space available. But the things that are in here, so my office is chiropractic and massage. I also have infrared sauna. And then I'm bringing in red light therapy. And then we have supplementation. And then upstairs, there's 5 offices, 2 family therapists, a photographer, and a speech therapist for children. And then I have a headquarters room up there. And then on the other side of the building, there's acupuncture. My massage therapists are over there. Then it goes nutritional counseling, who also does Reiki. We have one of the greatest estheticians around that does natural health skin care. Another life coach, Reiki master, who does hypnosis. Then we have IV hydration, vitamin therapy, injections and infusions. And then we also have a videographer that's on site that helps us bring that to the forefront. I'm trying to think what else is here. I think that covers it. It's a pretty long list.
Right.
And then we have a conference area that we sometimes use for meetings, or I'm thinking of turning it into a movement is medicine room.
Oh, nice.
And just having it like a fluxing room that can be used for seminars and workshops, but also some movement too.
Yeah.
So not like full on yoga studio, but movement is so critical to health as well.
Absolutely.
But we called it the Center for Wellbeing because it was like wellness is one thing, but well-being is like, that could be all kinds of things that create well-being in life. And so I just, I didn't know what was going to happen with the building, but it was like, this may go down in history, like repurposing this building in the center of town. And so how can I be really deliberate about my wording with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I was just telling a patient the other day that after the assisted living group moved out, I invited 25 people in and kids and all that, 20 for a whole Saturday, and let the kids run through the building, play hide and seek, just shift the energy of it. And I can just tell this building is loving her new purpose.
Yeah, good.
It's so amazing.
I feel like I remember seeing a video of you riding a bike through here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually lived here for a few months when I first moved in because my house was being built.
Okay.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And so actually where the conference room, where you saw that, that's where I had a bunch of stuff stored. And so I would literally ride from here all the way through and ride all the way back down the other hallway. And living in this kind of size of a place, I was just thinking about it because leaving your cell phone somewhere where you forget where you put it, or your keys, it's a whole different story here.
GPS tracker.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, obviously just you as a person, definitely wanted you on here, but with what you have to offer is, just Process 34 written all over it. It's you're feeding your mind, body, and spirit here on a daily basis with all of these services. So if any of you are struggling, trying to figure out where to start, just come down here and you can literally do all of them. You can do all of them. So it's a great way to start.
Yes, we need to start offering like a whole day wellness packages and put stuff together. I think we will.
Package.
Yeah, where you could do like you stay for 4 or 5 hours and do all the things to just boost your health.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
Like a little membership.
One of the things that I always dreamed about was, in my other buildings, I would say, okay, go to the acupuncturist, which is, I'd have to draw a map of the town. And now it's like, go down the hall, take a left. Yeah. Go down the hall, take a right.
How awesome is that?
I mean, it gives me goosebumps when I say that. Like, I get goosebumps from head to toe. Just the fact that real life in a dream. I don't want to say I'm in disbelief, but sometimes I don't sit back and be in awe enough that it hasn't fully integrated into my system.
No, I understand totally. It's such a cool place. I myself envisioned something like almost similar with Process 34 and just a place where like, hey, like we offer it all, like you don't have to go here. You don't need a referral there. Like you can literally just walk out this door into the next.
Right. And I think with your Process 34, like you have like the mission part of it, like the umbrella of it, but so many things fit under that.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. That's what I love about the Center for Wellbeing, where it's like, this is just the umbrella. And then we're not pigeonholed into one direction or one conversation or one modality. Yeah,
and it's just kind of like these are things that are just going to help you build your foundation for yourself.
Be a better human.
Exactly.
Human better.
Yep.
Just human as a verb.
Exactly.
Better.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in all the distractions of life, especially in 2023. So, taking those times, like just going, like I'll go to a yoga class with my wife, and it's like just that hour feels almost like 5 or 6 hours because you have no distractions. You're just in the moment, and it's so important.
I think the other thing too is that technology has taken us out of doing those things because we get those same hits as going to a class, but our bodies aren't working around that, and it's like, just set it all down and go do something really good for yourself, because those kinds of things, technology isn't going to get you there.
Right.
You might feel good doing it, but it's like, what are you doing to invest now? There was this, one of the greatest reasons somebody came into the office. So it says reason for entering. I want my health expectancy to match my life expectancy. At the end of life, that's when we're investing in. Like right now, the things I do today make me feel good today, but the quality of life at the end of life, these are the investments we're making today.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people have just, I feel good. Like I'll just sit here and watch TV or whatever. And it's like, okay. And what about the end of life that you're not even thinking about right now? Yeah. What are you eating? What are you thinking? What are you moving? What are you resting? Are you handling your stress? The end of life, that's going to matter, but we need to realize that now. Yeah.
And while doing that, like just wait and see what it does to just your everyday life and how you're able to live in the moment and accept it all and not try to be like, I'm guilty of it myself. I'll often seek out distractions,
For sure.
And it's just like, okay, like, all right, I'm going to go do this. I know I need to do A, B, and C, but D is, very enticing right now.
That's human nature.
Exactly.
It's totally human nature. We have, people say, how do you do all this? How do you stay on the straight and narrow? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I fall off too, but I am also aware that that's a distraction, and let me not spend, 20 or whatever, 10 of my, however many hours I'm awake in a day, distracted. Like, let me spend a little bit of time and just have that awareness that I need to get back to the stuff that really matters.
Yeah.
We all, especially right now, like it's not rainbows and butterflies. It still isn't. And our whole world is kind of feeling like that. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to, just sit down and just get lost in scrolling something while your spouse or your kids are sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
And, we're not promised a tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We're not promised a tomorrow. The fact that we woke up on the top side of the grass, like, let's look around and figure out what matters and then spend your time doing what matters more.
And you kind of hit it right on the head too. Like, I live by, I'm not going to be perfect every single day. I'm going to have my fault. I'm going to mess up. However, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to have that exact same positive attitude and say, I'm going to do my best today and set out with good intentions. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, by human nature, things will happen that are sometimes out of my control. Sometimes I do have control, but my intention is to be the best version of myself day in, day out.
Right. I think that the ability to be the best comes with the bandwidth, right? Yeah. So when we do good things for our bodies and, you're at the same gym that I am, I know you're doing lots of good stuff for yourself. And when we eat well and we move well, then we start to have the bandwidth for the willpower.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just whatever creates more bandwidth rather than less, you know?
Definitely. So here's a good question.
They've all been good.
So I wanted to know, what is your preferred or favorite method or way to cheer somebody up or to brighten someone's spirits?
Oh, gosh. I mean, just smile, probably. Yeah. I mean, that's my number one for sure. And then the other part too is that through the years, because I've been doing this for so long, is I'm able to build rapport pretty well. Mm-hmm. And am a listener, but it's not like I listen to give advice. It's more I listen to help the other person unfold and unwind back into their joy or back into a little bit of recognition of their own self inside of it. So mostly just listening and smiling. And, in the past with practice and, I'm a doctor and all the things, like I will sit right down with people and take on whatever it is with them.
Nice.
I have to be mindful myself because I really will take it on.
Yeah.
But like if someone has somebody that passed away or or some major stress or lost a job or whatever, it's like, let's go right there. And I have enough tools that I've built for myself through the years to be able to go right there and hold space for them. Until they can see it a little bit brighter. So, yeah.
Which that's what I was going to ask too. Like, I'm sure you get all sorts of personalities and emotions and, it's like
all the things.
Yeah. So being able to embrace each one individually and, like you said, sit with them individually is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
So what throughout life, everything that you've picked up, everything you've learned, everything you experienced, I'm probably answering the question within the question, but what has made you become who you are today?
All the trials and tribulations. I was born into two very large families. So my mom is 1 of 10, my dad's 1 of 9. So there's a lot when you have that many people. There's a variety of things that happen and personalities that are there and events that go on. And I was exposed to enough of my own childhood, trauma, not trauma in the way that you would think, but, being raised in an alcoholic family and just a lot of that stuff, has brought me a lot more challenges because that's how, I was raised. I don't know if you want to say energy attracts energy, but it's really brought me some pretty gnarly life lessons, not just from that, but beyond. And I've been through all kinds of different things. And I just know that I've survived 100% of my days. Yeah. And that alone gets me to the next day. And then I used to, probably just up to just a couple of years ago, I could silver lining all of life. No matter what was coming up, I could silver lining it. Now I realize that silver lining everything isn't the best way through. I lost my dad a couple of years ago, and it's like, then you just go right through the middle of it. You could distract and go around and do all these things. Going right down the middle and knowing that, my track record is 100% survival. And the other thing, you already mentioned it once, but like tomorrow's a new day. And new days are they feel so fresh. As the years go on, it's like, it just feels really fresh and new. I don't know if you feel that way too, but it's like, tomorrow really is new. And when I wake up, I really do feel new. Where I don't, it takes decades in life and experience to know that. But just really taking things on, like even stuff will come up with the building and I'm like, I don't know how to deal with that. So then I just start being, I would call it resourceful and starting to ask big questions and find the people to help, find the other helpers. I'm a helper, find other helpers.
I know, like for me, myself, I'm very, very stubborn. And like you said, like you just brought up something goes wrong with the building. I would try to probably figure it out any way possible and let it build up and build up and build up before I ask for help. And then I always, which now I don't, but I've always found out the hardest way possible. Like just ask somebody for some help or just talk about it or, just it's not as bad as what you think it is ever. Really. It's not. Your mind can just make something
huge.
Just blow it so out of proportion. So, which brings me into my next question. Like, what is your actual process for overcoming hurdles that you encounter in life?
So, one of the things that you just kind of mentioned is it's better out than in. Like, it's better to talk about things. It's better than to hold it in. And I grew up in a family that, we're just naturally hold things in, and a lot of people around me still do that. But because I have a direct reflection with patients all day long of like, they had this experience and they got through, and then I had this experience and I get to share. So it's literally like getting it out there and not doing my best not to ruminate too long, because that'll literally make you sick and lose sleep and all that. So I read, I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks, I do coaching, I do counseling. Like I try and do all the things, because ultimately, no matter what's gone on, I have just, my parking lot's full of patients that need help. So I just know, and the other thing that I've learned along the way is, if I don't, then my physical body starts to break down.
Yeah.
My immune system goes, down, or I'll start getting like little injuries here or there. And then I have such, like, my body tells me if I don't deal enough with the turmoil in myself or my mind or my life. So, yeah,
it seems like with you, it's like you have a lot of self-awareness. So even like you said, I got to, make sure it's all together, because I have people that are depending on me. But on the flip side of that, you're also walking into these situations and dealing with these different people, and you're learning from their experiences, and you're taking what, they have. And it's like, well, it almost makes you grateful. Like, hey, I have this going on, but
yeah.
It could be a lot worse.
They every day I am taught resiliency of humans.
Yeah.
The ability to heal, the ability to grow and evolve, and just be resilient inside of all the things.
Yeah.
So many things, and especially 18 years in, I've seen a lot. And and I've had patients pass away, and a lot of times it'll be like, well, I'm going to go to the funeral, but like, I'm not the family, and I'm going to cry harder than the family, but I just go and do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
Like, let me be a blubbering idiot in the back. Like,
right.
And it's taken a long time to get to that place with just being okay with however I show up. I'm showing up the best I can, and whatever comes up, I know I'll survive it. I'll get to the other side of it. And if I make a fool out of myself, I'm human too. Or if I make a mistake, or say the wrong thing, or say the right thing, or it's all of the above. And I've just learned to just not let it go, but just let everything just be.
Yeah. Acceptance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think what we resist makes it so much worse. Like, I remember the first funerals that I was having to go to for patients, and I don't have to go. I'm their chiropractor, but being their chiropractor, I become part of their life, part of their week, part of their months, and for years. And so it was like, but I want to just go and let the family know that I'm present, and so much resistance to go. And I would just figure out how to triple dog dare myself to show up as this fully emoting, fully present human.
Yeah.
And maybe shine a little bit of light that it's okay to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to be this person that owns this place and does all this work, and be fractured too. And melting down. That's okay too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, that's a big thing for me, is the fear of, how I am perceived by others at times, because I want to, like, for instance, doing this show, it's like, okay, I have this podcast now, Process 34. It's talking about positivity. It's talking about feeding your mind, body, and spirit. I have to be this example all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, now the pressure's setting in, and it's like, I'm freaking myself out. And it's like, wait, this is the complete opposite of what this is about.
Exactly,
this is about just being the best version of yourself you can be, and trying, doing this podcast was me stepping out of my shell a little bit more, facing my fear. And it was like, after I did my first one, I was so nervous. I was so scared. And I did my first one. And I was like, I'm ready to do number 2 now.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Right. Well, it's so much better getting it out than keeping it in, because the rumination will make you like, I have this calling, this thing on my heart I need to do. And I can sit here and I can make that happen I just get chills head to toe just saying that. Like, I could sit here for 10 years and not do what the calling of my heart is. Or
just do it.
I would feel way better if I just get started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get started.
And it can be very small steps, and, see where it goes.
Yeah.
So how often do you like, you said you did yoga, I know you go for walks a lot, you exercise. Like, how often do you practice working on yourself? Is it like, do you set aside like an hour or two each day, or like, I guess, how much and what exactly are you doing on a daily basis?
That's a great question. And people ask me this a lot. So, there's a lot that goes into it. So the first thing I do is I sit down on Sunday and I look ahead at what my week requires and where I can fit. Because I used to be in the group fitness industry. I taught step aerobics for years. I taught yoga way back before there were studios going. I had a primary certification is what it was called. So I was able to just step into a gym and teach whatever.
Oh, cool.
So I did that because I just became obsessed with going to the, not totally obsessed with going to the gym, but I started to like find some processes and ways through some of the stress that I had bottled up. I was always an athlete, but getting a regular workout routine once I turned 18 and got out of school, high school, it just became a thing for me. So my bachelor's degree is from University of Alaska. I was in Anchorage for 3.5 years. And I was married to Air Force at the time. And so I would go to the gym at the Air Force Base, and they had this step class that I would go to regularly. And then my husband at the time would get deployed, and then I would find a lot of just refuge in moving my body. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I got certified to start to teach classes. So I was, I was 20 at the time. And so then I taught up there, and then I taught, I moved down to the South for school, and I taught all through chiropractic college. I actually taught at Genesis, step classes when I first moved home. However, the practice, so I had a step class that was at like 6:30, and then my practice hours went to 6. Well, if there's patients waiting, I'd be like, I got to go teach a step class. So I had to stop doing that. But through that whole time in school, I was very dedicated to movement. And also I had this group of friends that we would start to dig into our mindset. I did this work called concept therapy. You can still look it up, where it's like looking where our concepts came from in life and figuring out if that serves us or not. Mm-hmm. Where did my idea of I could only do this, or this is how things have to be, where did that come from, and does that serve moving forward? So I dug deeply into that work, and it was almost like doing like group therapy with my friends through school, because once you get out, and I can't bring my stuff into practice, like I have to settle it and solve it. Mm-hmm. I still have that same group of friends that we did all that work. They're all the ones that moved to Denver, not all at the same time, but they're just all happened there. And I'm actually licensed in Colorado too, but not many know that because they're like, don't leave.
Right.
So I was teaching yoga way back in the day, and then I found yoga once I got home, and that's when the studios really started to become a thing. Mm-hmm. I took Catherine actually over at Ethos. I took her teacher training in 2013, but I just don't have the ability to commit to that outside of what I'm already committed to. Mm-hmm. So I mostly do classes for myself. So right now, I just finished yoga teacher training for the second time. I'm working on a 300-hour online teacher training, which would make me a 500 designation, which just means you have a real commitment to that. Mm-hmm. Yoga is my lifeline. I go down to the Space in Brighton more than anything, and it's a yoga HIIT combination in a really hot room, and we just express, and we yell and scream and dance and do yoga, and we do all this stuff. It's really intense and very cathartic to my system. So I try and make at least 2 of those classes a week, which helps. And then right now I just wander around at the gym on the track, but because I just love there's something really cathartic about walking. Of course, I have 2 dogs. I like to walk them too, but just being able to be quiet or listen to a podcast and walking is like so amazing to me. Of course, I try and eat really well. I'm not 100%. Nobody is. In fact, one guy caught me. He was like, I was downtown eating ice cream once, and one of the patients was like, I caught you eating chocolate ice cream. I'm like, yes, because I do that too. I just don't do it every day. Right. So,
did it make the front page of anything?
Yeah, right. No, but what I do decide some weeks is I'll skip Sunday dinner altogether and just eat ice cream.
Wow.
And then I start again with my good routines for the week. But I try and drink a ton of water, movement every day, no matter what. I move my body every day. I also wear the Aura ring. It helps me track sleep, and I'm big into tracking sleep and making sure that I'm hacking into the best sleep I can get, because that's so critical. So that's super important to me. I've been a long distance runner. I've run a marathon, many half marathons. I always run the Crim every year. So movement is everything to me, and I never take it for granted. And fortunately, I've been healthy enough always to be able to move like I do. So it's yoga, walking a lot. I'll make it to a group fitness class from time to time. Meditation, not as diligent and committed as I really feel like I should do, except for walking is that to me. So I'm trying to think what else. Eat well, move well, keep my positive attitude, work with taking things on head on as much as possible.
One thing I wanted to throw in there, just in case you forgot, but it actually goes into my next question anyways, is I've noticed you seem to be an outdoor enthusiast.
Yeah.
You love nature. You are a snowboarder, correct?
Yep.
Can you, what is your preference? Is it indoor or outdoor, or does it not really matter?
Yeah. So indoor, if I'm at the space in that crazy release class that we do. Otherwise, I love to be outside. So I grew up on an apple orchard, and literally we talk about this all the time, my brothers and I. Mom would send us outside. We were not allowed back inside all 4 seasons.
Really?
Figure it out. Go have some fun. Go of course she let us in, but we were literally required to be outside. Go find something to do. And so, so we were born like that. And I really take it for granted because we had so much space to go do things. Yeah. We were never allowed motorized vehicles. Thank goodness. My brothers weren't allowed motorcycles. One of them would definitely have been majorly injured or not with us at this point. Because they were just doing all kinds of things. But I also grew up with a ton of cousins. So my one set of grandparents lived next door to me. The other set were a mile down the road. So when cousins were around, we were out playing I thought my aunt invented kickball. She showed up with a bag and bases and a kickball one day when I was 5. And I thought she invented that. I'd never seen it before. My happiest place is on my snowboard. Okay. Strapped to my snowboard out west in Colorado, at Beaver Creek in particular, at Bachelor's Gulch, if anyone knows that. I love Breckenridge. I love going out there. I don't always get to go. This year I won't make it. I usually make it at least once a year, but just timing wise, I got a new pup at home. So I'm just staying home this year, but make it up to Crystal Mountain in northern Michigan quite a bit. My family, my parents have a second home up there. So although it's not my most favorite place around here, I love being out on the slopes with my nieces and nephews. Yeah. So that's really fun. I also surf I love to surf. And so I can surf at my house. I have, friends, I live on the water, so I have friends. So we're always outside, always. Yeah. I like to be out. The only weather that I don't like is wind.
Right. Yeah.
Other than that, I love the snow. I don't mind being out in the rain. I love sunshine. I like cloudy days for what they are. I am for sure. I didn't even think about how outdoorsy I am, but I really am. I've also done a bunch of hiking. Actually, 6 years ago, a couple days ago, on March 8th, I summited Kilimanjaro.
Crazy.
I know, it was crazy. The whole situation was crazy. But that was awesome. It's my one brother calls it type 2 kind of fun, where it's not fun during, but you have accolades of that for life. Right, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's amazing. What is the height on that?
19,341.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long?
And it took 6 days up and 2 down. And I actually put together YouTube, an 18-minute cool. kind of vlog documentary, because I left the practice for 10 days, fly one day, fly back, one day, and then 8 days adventure. When you come back from something like that and people say, how was your trip? Right.
Right.
Go watch the video.
Yeah, I'm still there.
I'm still processing for one. There's no words that can describe it. You need picture, but also video. So I didn't really realize this while I was doing it, but every evening when we finished, or in the mornings, I would just make a quick 30-second video of hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. I didn't sleep for crap that night. The whole time it was horrible sleep, but pictures. So I had sent everything back to this videographer here, and he was able to put this 18-minute documentary together for me before I even arrived home.
Oh, cool.
So by Monday, when I was back in the practice, when people say, how was your trip? I'd be like, I don't even know what to say to that question. Thank you for asking and caring. Just go watch the video.
Yeah, let me show you.
I know. And I put up 8x10 pictures. Like I lined the entire office walls with just pictures of the adventure, just because it's like, it's still so big. Like I get goosebumps talking about that too. It's still so big that it's still processing.
Right.
And when I was flying over there, you know, it was one of those things, like people die on this trek. Like people die out there. And when I was flying, so I flew Detroit to Amsterdam onto Tanzania, as they call it over there. It was like I might die. And
Jeez.
How do I feel about that? And I'm like, I've done a lot.
Right.
I want to return. And, you know, it was like really like come to the table with your answer to that question before you get out there.
Facing it right now. Yeah. Wow.
So, you know, those people don't come back from trips like that. And they do it really safely. I went with a huge group of women, and we summited on International Women's Day. And
That's
the whole
cool.
story is pretty cool. But,
That's awesome.
Yeah. To have faced that was like, like I've done something.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
My mom and my other brother, they were back home. My mom's like, she's going to go overboard before she stops. She's not going to stop. She's going to get to the top one way or another, whether it's with a live body or
She knows
die
your will.
trying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Good.
Yes.
So, if you know Dr. Peabody, you know her love for dogs. So, could you please just tell us about Lou and I'm sorry, what is
Tater
the pup's
Tot.
name? Tater Tot.
Tate.
Could you tell us about Lou and Tate, please?
So, I think in this lifetime, and I'll probably start crying if you get to meet your heart dog. It's a really great life. It's really special. And so Lou came to me through my last marriage. I didn't know we were getting a dog. And then all of a sudden we have a dog, and he's my savior. I would not be on the top side of the grass. That's how much heartbreak I went through. And he was my sidekick. He was, when I really get the visual of Lou, he is, when I lost a lot of faith in humanity and relationship, he was sent to me so that I could hold faith outside my body until I could take it on. So people see this little floof dog with me, and unless you know the story, like, he's amazing to me and locally famous at this point.
Right.
They're social, but he means the world to me. And so I sent him. He's an empath. He's very compassionate as a dog. Like I said, I didn't choose him, but he came to me for a reason. Mm-hmm. It was divine sent for sure. And so he's very great temperament. And so I did not want him to sit at home waiting for me for the rest of his life, the next 10 years of his life, right? So I sent him off to school because his temperament is for therapy here. However, I also needed to be able to tend to my days and not be like, sit, mom said sit. So I sent him to off-leash training so he responds 100% of the time to 100% of my commands.
That's awesome.
And then the patients love him.
Yeah.
So he's here with me during the days, and he goes to his bed and waits for me to get done adjusting, because his face is also right at patients' faces when they're on the table. So some don't like dogs. I get concerned about those kind of people. But so anyway, he's really respectful of people's faces, and then he knows. So I was just saying, people say, so they were just asking me a couple days ago, does he sense things about patients before you do? And I'm pretty intuitive as a practitioner anyways, but he senses grief first.
Okay.
And so he will go and hug them. Like he will go to them and lean into them and he's so dang cute.
That's awesome.
And he's a non-shed, of course, but yes, he recognizes grief before I know. And then he kind of like helps them to just open up to the story so that they can get it again. Out is better than stuck in, right? So while he was at school, it took me everything that I had to be without him for 10 weeks and everything I had not to get a second dog during that time.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this isn't going to make sense to have one dog at the practice and one dog at home.
Right.
But this 2-dog thing has never, it's on my heart.
Yeah. So
this little teeny tiny little dinky 3-pound multi-poo entered my life through a roundabout way as well. And we decided we would meet him in early January this year. And as I knew, all I have to do is meet a dog. Mostly just, I grew up with dogs and I've had dogs through the years, but not always had a dog. And Lou has changed me forever. Just because when you get to meet your heart dog, it's just a different life from that point forward. So now my 2 dogs will be with me in the car and I'm still swooning over all the dogs everywhere. I don't know. So Tate came to, and if that's a real problem, I'll take it. Exactly. Right. So Tate came to us and he's like this little, I always thought I was going to have kids. That was part of my plan. And through this last divorce, that was not that it's totally taken off of my plate, but to have this little tiny thing, it was like this little newborn energy. And he's such a sweetie and he loves love too. And he has an exceptional amount of love at our house that he didn't, work with the first couple of months of his life. And I won't share too much of his story, but he loves his big brother. Yeah,
so I was going to ask, do they get along well?
Lou is still adjusting because he's used to all of Mom's energy. Right. But Tate is so little. Tater Tot is the name, but we call him Tate or Tater Potato or Tomato Pans. Well, he has so many nicknames. He comes with 1,000 nicknames, but he's a little ankle biter, truly. And so Lou will be running around the house and Tate's like at his ankles, but they also play really well together, even though Lou is almost 60 pounds and Tate is now 4 pounds. It's hilarious.
Crazy. Yeah.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
And they bring so much joy. And really they are part of my ability to stay on the high side is just because they both smile, they wiggle, they love, they are like Lou is truly my charging station. Like, he is amazing.
So since he went to the school for 10 weeks, whatever, like how are you juggling that now? Yeah.
So now I have one dog at home and one dog at the practice, which is not what I wanted, but I also only work 3 hours at a time. So
but it's working out okay.
Yeah. So we go home and we visit with Tate for a little while. And people have said, are you going to bring Tate in? Well, first of all, he's so tiny right now that he would get stepped on. Right. So we'll see after a year because he is learning a lot of what Lou's doing, but I haven't really been around little dogs much. Yeah. And he's so little and they learn differently. They have a different mindset than the big dogs. But of course, his training facilities, like, we also do those little dogs too. And I'm like, you train these little dogs to be off leash as well. And so I don't know that I'll fully pursue that, but I'll continue to let his system unwind with us now. And then kind of go through the summer and kind of see where we're at in the
see
fall.
How he develops. Yeah.
He needs some time to unwind and get his bearings too. So it's so much joy. Like being a single mom of one dog is one thing. So then I thought 2 will be so much more work. And now mind you, he's so little and we've had spring or winter storm ridiculousness this year. And that's been it since January. So little dog and the spring winter storm hasn't been a good combination.
Not golf weather, unfortunately.
Not ideal. But so he's just, we're just letting him really get situated and unwound. And I think once we get to spring, it'll be really telling.
Nice. So, And I sorry for bringing. I didn't know that it was going to be so touching. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it though, and it is. I know how much you care about your dogs, how much they mean to you, and obviously if you're, doing the training and everything just so you can have him here with you just shows it. So
I always say he's my emotional support animal, but I'm also his.
Yeah,
So it's a nice codependent relationship.
Exactly. Right. It's okay. It's a healthy codependency.
But I love being able to share his love with everybody else because he's got a ton of it and he loves his work. He just
loves
so
cool.
being here.
Nice. Yeah. Good. Well, that about does it for everything that I wanted to ask you. And I don't know if you have anything else that you would like to add, but feel free to if you want.
Yeah. So really the only thing, you guys just witnessed it in this podcast where it's like, I was asked a question and it's like, I'm just going to go there, even though I show up rough around the edges or emotional, or it just takes over. Like that's real living.
Yeah.
And if we're not being that, not that you have to emote all over the place, but just know that that's more human than distracting and pushing it back and not going for it. Like that's literally going right down the center. And, people, like I said, pain means pay attention, but that's emotional as well, physical, all of it. And we just have to keep finding ways to help our bodies process, help our minds process. And it comes in all different avenues. Even just being able to sit on this microphone with the honor of being invited here, this helps me too, that I can, I'm ready to share my story more because I'm not like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I always say I want to teach from the scars rather than the open gaping wounds. One of the greatest things that happened to our world, and most people would completely disagree with this, is we all masked up and I could stop talking, not stop talking so much because everybody was so concerned about me here. And I put the mask over and then it was like, let me just be quiet for right now. Like, it was the perfect timing for me to get quieter in my life so that I could heal and not have to keep answering, all the personal questions because, I got married and then divorced within a year and it was a thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing, especially real life happening outside for me as also being a doctor too.
Right.
But now because I've wandered through head on these things, it's like, you know what? I have something to share with a patient. And if I end up in tears, like that's because I'm human too. And the more human we can be and the more compassionate, knowing that everybody has their story, the better this world is going to be. We can't shift the entire world and change the entire world, but we can change our world.
Yeah. That's what I actually just recorded a solo podcast, and the topic that I wanted to discuss was spirituality. And it's just people ask me about it all the time. They struggle with it the most. And I kind of broke it down after thinking about it, writing on it, trying to figure out exactly what my concept of it was. It was just like that true self. Yeah. That raw, true self, like you just said. If you experience something and whatever your reaction to that is, crying, laughing, whatever, you're allowing yourself to be yourself. You're allowing your spirit to show. Yeah. And, like we are faced with life every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
We can run, we can try to hide, we can put those masks on. But I promise you, at 10 o'clock at night when you're all by yourself and you think you've had a successful day, it all hits you, and it's harder and harder each day if you don't do something about it. So thank you for sharing everything with us today. It was great. It was everything I was hoping for. Like I said, if you don't know where to start, if you just want to, get put in the right direction, or if you just want great care from great people, Dr. Peabody's practice here, the Peabody Center for Wellbeing, Cafe of Life Chiropractic, and all of these services that you have to offer here, just highly, highly recommend it. You also are very active on social media. Yep. Could you please just share with us your handles, where you're located, and your handles? For sure. So I am super active and have been for over a decade on all of my platforms. And so just Erica Peabody Chiropractor, I think, on Facebook. Then it's Cafe of Life Chiropractic on Facebook.
I also have other pages. The Peabody Center for Wellbeing is also on Facebook. I'm very active on Instagram at Dr. Erica Peabody. I'm toying with TikTok. Are you?
I'm up in the air about
it's fun. It's fun as long as you just just share.
Exactly.
I always share to keep my platforms going, but one of my goals has always been to be approachable healthcare, which sometimes lands me in deep conversations about health in the gym and the yoga studio and stuff like that. But if people have questions about things and whatever, you can always feel free to call my office. You can reach out to me over email, which is just erica@cafeoflifefenton.com. Reach out to me in my direct messages over Instagram or Facebook. I am answering questions all day long.
She does.
Yeah. Because I would rather that you're able to ask the questions that you may not want to ask maybe to your other healthcare providers. And then I'm not the jack of all trades, but I am connected with somebody everywhere.
Yeah.
And somebody who's doing something everywhere. So, feel free to reach out anytime.
Definitely. Yeah. And you're on YouTube as well.
YouTube, yes. Yeah. YouTube is also Dr. Erica Peabody, and I have a lot more content going up there regularly, as well as that 18-minute little short documentary about my trip up Kilimanjaro.
Nice. And also you'll have you can actually see the practice. You can actually see within the building here and the different suites and everything as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. And as always, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please, please, please do so now. Hit that like button, help this channel to grow and spread the message. You can also check out the audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I am also on social media at process_34 on Instagram and process34 on Facebook. And there is a TikTok, which I keep saying, I got to check out my handle because I have 2 accounts, right? I got locked out of my first account.
Oh.
So I'm trying to get back into it. And it keeps saying that the account doesn't exist, but yet you can go to the account, see all my previous videos. So then I created another account, and it's I've already had issues with that. So I'm I'm just in the air about it. But if you want, just put it in process 34. I'm sure one of them will pop up. So
awesome.
Thank you all so much. Keep spreading that positivity and that hope and just trying your best no matter what. Have a good one.